All right, I think I got this. It's getting a little easier each week I do this. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome to Wholesome Chats. I'm Ginger Lee, creator and founder of Wholesome Coaching, a place to find holistic solutions to all your most important health and wellness questions, bringing health into your home to help you lock in a lifestyle that creates glowing, thriving health. Last week, we discussed the first of the 8 pillars of true health, which is hydration. This week, it's all about nutrition, and I'm so excited to share this with you today because proper nutrition is where my love of holistic health started over 2 decades ago with a man named Arnold Kaufman. And, that story is all on the blog if you want to read about Arnold's way. But anyway, in today's Q&A, we're going to discuss some basic principles of holistic healthy eating. I'm going to give you some coaching tips on how to make this happen in your life. And of course, we're always going to have some fun giveaways at the end, so stay with me. I want to start off with a quote today, one of my favorites. The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. And that's by Wigmore, one of the founders of modern holistic health as we know it. So eating healthy, what does that mean, right? Everywhere you turn, it's recommended that you eat healthy, but what does that mean, even really mean, right? It seems everyone has their own broad opinion of what a healthy diet is supposed to look like these days. And there are plenty of so-called experts out there trying to sell you on that next diet trend. And to add to the confusion, even in health food stores, there's deceiving marketing ploys that are based on these trendy diets designed to make you think a product is a lot healthier than it actually is. Big Pharma, the most profitable business in the United States, spends over $24 billion a year marketing to you. Yeah, that's billion with a B. So why am I starting a conversation on nutrition talking about Big Pharma? Because I want you to start to understand the connection between Big Pharma to Big Farm and Big Food. There's plenty of documentaries you can watch out there, books you can read, because I can't really get into this on a live broadcast. But you'll come to understand why this toxic triad wants to keep you in the dark. They have a vested reason to keep you sick because there's no money to be made if you stay healthy. Interestingly, a few years back, the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world bought the biggest food company in the world in a $66 billion merger. Connecting the dots here with me, right? So when it comes to big food, there are 10 companies that control the whole thing. And trust me, they're not the good guys, right? They're not interested in your health at all. Most packaged foods out there are chock full of ingredients that are not only poison to the body, but additives that are developed in a lab with the specific intent of getting you addicted to their product and thereby keeping you a loyal customer for life. Sadly, even our fresh foods these days contain poisonous toxins. The SAD diet, standard American diet, is low in fiber, has little to no fresh fruits and vegetables, is high in sugar, high in animal fats from meat and dairy, which is not the good kind of fat, right? High amounts of processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and mega doses of sugar, which are not the good kind of carbs. And there is a good kind of carbs, but that's coming later. And this isn't just affecting our waistline, it's having repercussions in our brain, our heart, our nerves, our respiratory health too. And, don't even get me started on this one, this myplate.gov, the template the government uses to create school lunch programs and educate the public on what healthy diet is. I just need to burn that one, right? Why am I saying all this? I want to start this chat by calling on you to take ownership of your health and exit the matrix of these broken systems, the ones that are trying to convince you that the answers are all outside of you. True health is not something that can be pounded in from the outside. It's not an external force or a magic pill. Health is something that you build up from the inside, internally, one healthy cell at a time. So please take personal responsibility in this area of your wellness. Learn to cut out all the noise, become your own nutrition detective so that you can make good choices for you and your family. All right, we're going to dive into it on detoxing your nutrition so you can learn how to nourish your body with foods that support optimal functioning and then how to make sustainable shifts, right? So you create a healthy baseline of health by anchoring in the first four pillars: hydration, nutrition, sweat, and sleep. And just to back up for a sec, we always start with hydration. If you're still working on linking in those hydration habits this week, stick with that pillar until it becomes easier and more comfortable for you. Because if you struggle with making something as simple as hydration a priority, you're going to find the subsequent pillars even more challenging to master. Don't worry. Stick with hydration. You'll still see the ripple effects happening in the other areas of your health. Remember, the point is not to get overwhelmed and try to do all the things at once. Just stick with getting in pure water in your daily routine, and then you can start to layer in some of those nutrition habits when you get that dialed in. But if you got your hydration on lock, let's layer in the next pillar. So nutrition is an area all of us feel we could probably do better at times, right? Even when we know how to do all the things, most of us are busy and stressed, which is often the biggest obstacle to nourishing ourselves properly. My number one coaching tip for leveling out your health in this area is you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan of home cooking. Who out there plans their food for the week? Yeah. Food plans. Yeah. Having a meal planning and prepping system in place sets you up for success. When you have healthy food already prepared, you're way more likely to stick to your health goals. You probably even get a little excited about what you've made, right? You want to eat it. How many of you make poor food choices when you're hungry? Yes, raise my hand to that for sure. You get hangry, right? So having a system in place helps you avoid decision fatigue. You're also able to control not only the quality of your food, but what's in your food. Dining out, delivery, getting takeout, it more than likely means that you're not getting high quality ingredients, right? And menus don't come with nutrition facts, so who knows how much sugar is in that salad dressing. And an added benefit is it actually saves you some serious moolah when you meal plan, not just at restaurants, but it decreases your overall food waste. How many times have you bought that one ingredient to go in that one recipe and then you never looked at it again, right? Until it's expired and you got to throw it out. Well, with meal planning, you already know what you have, what you need to use, and then you can build the menu for that week around the things that need to be used immediately. If you're new to this whole thing, meal planning and prepping, how do you do this, right? Go ahead if you want to share in the comments any helpful tips. But what I encourage you to do, especially if food is a struggle for you right now, is to just take one day a week. Start with just one or maybe two healthy recipes to integrate in for that day. Maybe it's a green smoothie for breakfast or lunch, or a green mustard salad for dinner, and then make that your health focus for the day. Start slowly, and I promise things get easier. You can also go old school. So I created these years ago, and I'm going to link these up in the blog for you so you have some templates to get started with. But this is just a day designer, right? It's pretty much blank. And what you do is you fill in for the one day that you want to focus on your health. You put your recipes in there and exactly what you want to eat. And then, of course, as you start to shift in this area, you can move to the weekly design. And this guy, you can do it. You can do it either way. It doesn't really matter. But I left the headings off because I live in a community where not everyone has a Monday through Friday kind of schedule. I don't have a Monday through Friday kind of schedule. So you can, fill in the 5 days of the week that you want to meal plan for. And if you need 7 days, there are plenty of those weekly meal planner templates out there. The Calendar's Quick has fantastic customizable printables for all things planner related, but it can be adopted for your nutrition plan as well. So start simple, easy, be realistic with your time. Be realistic with the time that you have to be able to dedicate to this area of your health, right? Start with 1 or 2 days and then work your way up to 5 and maybe even the whole week if you want. And I now use an app called Paprika. Where did hear this? So I just love this app. It makes everything so easy. I originally looked into going digital with this app because I have so many recipes, but I spent way too much time searching for the one that I actually wanted. So this app, it gives you a lot of flexibility and customization. You can easily save recipes that you find on websites, or you can manually add all of your old recipes, right? And then you can take those recipes, drag them and drop them into a calendar to print out a meal plan. You can easily scale your recipes up to batch them, which is another tip that I encourage you to do is when you meal plan, batch your meals. So cook for 3 or 4 days at a time, right? And then you can easily just print the grocery list for the week. And I love this because when I do my meal planning, it's on the computer, but when I cook, I use the iPad, right? So, and there's also a free version of this app to try it out. And the best part about it is it feels like a digital version of an old school recipe box, right? Who of you out there right now is like, nobody got time for all that, right? Okay, so here's the bottom line. When it comes to prioritizing your health, guys, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. How you decide to use that time is your value statement. You will always make time for the things that you value most. So if you truly want to shift your health in the right direction, you will make time to plan your fuel. It really is that simple, okay? Another tip, if you struggle to make good choices around food, order your groceries online. Then you just pay the $3 or whatever to go pick them up, or having them delivered is a great time saver too. But when you plan to eat healthy and then you order your groceries online, it takes all the temptations to buy the things, right, that you don't want to be eating, takes the temptation away. You can better control what you're bringing into your home. You guys know I love Thrive Market. Thrive Market, it delivers, high quality, healthy, sustainable products. It's kind of like Whole Foods, Costco, and Amazon had a baby. It's really clean, non-toxic, non-GMO organic brands, just like you would find at Whole Foods. And then they're sold at member prices, just like at Costco. And then they're delivered straight to your door, just like Amazon, right? Awesome, right? Okay. Some overarching principles of holistic eating. I want to get into this. And just a little disclaimer. There's so much to say on the topic of nutrition that in this live broadcast, please remember I'm speaking in really broad strokes. Specific recommendations would only come after I've sat down with you, gone through your health history, any blood work you've had done, and understand you as a whole person and your unique situation with your health. These are going to be tried and true guidelines, however, on how to start shifting into a more holistically healthy baseline, okay? And also, I want to mention that if you're someone who's focused only on the superficials of health, on just what you look like on the outside and maybe what the scale is saying, this information is probably not going to appeal to you. As someone who has lived and studied holistic health for 2 decades plus, I will simply say that there is no secret formula. That magic pill you're looking for, it doesn't exist. And I'll explain why a little later, but just know that this information is for those of you who are ready to make sustainable lifestyle changes, ready to create those healthy habits that are going to level up your total health, not just for a millisecond, but for a lifetime. So if you want to optimize your health, you have to do the work, right? You have to take the time, make the effort to create those habits. But when you do, I'm pretty sure you're going to like what you look like on the outside too, right? Okay, so the first principle is to eat clean most of the time. We're going to take this in 2 parts. Eating clean. What does that mean? Anybody want to throw out a definition? Wikipedia and other websites represented by that toxic triad we talked about, they would have you believe that this is a new fad diet. And the amount of amateur nutritionists filming videos on this is astounding, when in actuality, this is the foundation of holistic health and always has been. What eating clean really means is eating real food, meaning eating foods closest to their natural state as possible, choosing high quality ingredients, whether that be fruits, veggies, lean animal protein, complex carbohydrates, or healthy fats. The less your body has to work on the laborious process of digestion, the more it concentrates on cleaning your cells. It means choosing nutrient-dense foods. So who knows what nutrient density means? Yes, healthy oils, yes. Yeah, Nutrient density. It means that not all calories are the same kind of calories. The food industry, USDA, CDC, if you look at the articles they publish on nutrition, the myplate.gov, they would still have you believing that calories in are the same as calories out, that you can eat a bag of M&Ms, and as long as you go run for 20 minutes on the treadmill, that you're even, right? You're good? That is an archaic belief in the health and nutrition world. We all intuitively know that a bag of M&Ms is not the same as, say, like a bag of blueberries. Even if calorically they're the same, right? When they're consumed in the same calorie quantity, which is approximately 200 calories for M&Ms and blueberries, we all know that the nutrients involved there are metabolized completely differently, and the body responds completely differently to each of them. So this is a principle of health. I want you to start thinking about your metabolic health and intuitive eating. Let's take a little bit more difficult of an example, right? This is where I think the confusion comes in. Everybody knows that oatmeal is considered a healthy food, right? Oats are full of vitamins, minerals, a great source of fiber, a nutrient-dense food, but not all oats are created equal. So can anybody tell me what the difference is between groats, steel-cut oats, Scottish oats, rolled oats, instant oats? Yes, it's the amount of processing involved. They are all nutritionally equal, but because instant oats are metabolized much more quickly, with the sugars being released into the bloodstream much more rapidly, they are therefore higher on the glycemic index and won't keep you satisfied as long, and is going to affect your blood sugar differently. Here's another example for you, right? There's brown rice. Oh, I forgot to show you the oats, but you know what oats look like, right? These are still cut. The bigger they are, right? Little chewy and crunchy. All right, so let's take brown rice, for example. This is a bag of brown rice. We all know brown rice is a healthier choice. However, this is also brown rice, right? It's brown rice pasta. So are these the same metabolically? No, right? Yeah, they are nutritionally the same, but they're metabolized completely differently, right? I'll give you one last example, only because, you know, fruit is one of those things that is seen as really healthy, super healthy too, right? So Annie's little fruit snacks. These are little power snacks that I only use when I'm running for long distances because, you know, keeps your energy up. But how many of you feed these to your littles, to your children? They're made, they says they're made with real fruit juice, but how processed is that fruit? Okay, so start learning the difference between simple carbs like pasta and complex carbs like quinoa and sweet potatoes. And also about timing your nutrition. Ideally, you want to eat complex carbohydrates right before or after a workout. And we'll discuss that next week with the next pillar on sweat, but that's a little teaser for you on time nutrition, okay? Also, when you're eating things more closer to their more natural state with things like grains and like legumes, they're more easily digested when they're soaked first before cooking. And carnivorous veggies, they benefit from a little bit of steaming to activate the enzymes needed for proper digestion. So maybe an extra step or two is involved there because you're eating things that aren't heavily processed, but they're going to be, the nutrients are going to be absorbed more properly and digested more properly. So you want to focus on nutrient-dense food as a base for your meal plans, right? Think G-bombs. What are G-bombs? Anybody know what G-bombs are? Yes, G-bombs are the most nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory, and anti-inflammatory should always make you think anti-cancer and anti-disease foods, right? They're the biggest nutrient-dense anti-inflammatory foods on the planet. So G-bombs are greens, berries, onions, mushrooms, beans, and seeds. And you'll want to try to include as many of these as possible with every meal. Something as simple as adding some sesame seeds to a salad or pumpkin seeds, something like that. You guys know I love Eat and Shake, right? Some trace minerals with herbs and spices to amp up the nutrition density of your meals. Okay, so the second part of that first statement, right? Eat clean most of the time. The second part of this principle is the 80-20 rule. Just like one poor choice in fuel for the day is not going to tip the scale towards disease, so too one nutritious choice is not going to tip the scale towards health. The good news is that there's a lot that is under our control when it comes to our nutrition. So every time we switch out for a green smoothie or a green salad, it's a vote for the healthy person that you want to become. And the more votes you collect, the more your identity and your cells will start to change. And this is where the building blocks of developing a healthy habit start. So strive to eat clean, nutrient-dense food 80% of the time. Once you're there, metabolic flexibility means your body will be able to handle that 20% of the time that you're having, a special treat, right? Basically, that breaks down to 1 out of every 7 days, 80-20. Again, start small, 1 day, a few meals a week, and then add on until you got your nutrition totally locked in. All right, the second principle that I want to tell you about is crowding out by greening up. Who knows what crowding out means? Yeah, for those of you that are completely unfamiliar with this term, crowding out, it just means adding in the good before you take out all the things that are not so good, right? So for instance, if you enjoy having mac and cheese 3 times a week, start including maybe some broccoli or some spinach or some kale along with that mac and cheese, and continue to up the level of the amount of greens with the mac and cheese. So adding in the good first makes it easier for you to start reducing, avoiding, and eventually eliminating the things that are not serving you in your diet. Crowding out by greening up also means shoving in as many plants and greens, just green things as possible into your meal plan before you start subtracting all the things that you really like and you shouldn't be eating. Putting in the dense nutrition first makes it easier to let go of the things that aren't doing you any favors. Some of my favorite integrations for greening up is to include a green smoothie daily if possible. And notice that I said green. Be careful with all those all fruit smoothies out there. How many of you have gone to the smoothie place thinking you're going to do something really healthy for yourself, gotten the tropical smoothie with the pineapples, the mangoes, and the cherries, the all fruit smoothie, and an hour later, you're really hungry? Yeah, because even though it's fruit sugar, it's still a ton of sugar, right? And it's not being balanced out by any greens or proteins or healthy fats, so it goes straight to your bloodstream. So when you build your green smoothies, make sure you're balancing it out with some protein powder, kale, spinach, leafy greens, some almond, oat, or flax milk for healthy fats. And I'm going to encourage you to set your sights on getting yourself down to only about a half a cup of fruit in your smoothies, which looks like a half a banana or a half a cup of blueberries. I make a chocolate peanut butter avocado smoothie that will rock your world, and it has 0 fruit. I'll give you that recipe. Another one of my favorite integrations is adding in my green monster salad. Yeah, and it's called the green monster for a reason because it's got all the green things, right? It's a base of kale. A kale, as you know, is a superstar in nutrition. It has vitamin A, K, B, C, potassium, manganese. Dinosaur kale is the best. It's the most dense, right? But, eat whichever kale you like. And I'll link up these recipes for you so you have some healthy recipes to start out with. But what are the things that you want to crowd out? So you're throwing all this dense nutrition in, right? What are the things you're trying to crowd out, eventually kind of avoid and altogether eliminate? You got some guesses? What's most toxic to the body? Sugar is number 1. Yes, number 1. Alcohol, caffeine, meat, dairy, gluten, and all processed foods. So those are the things you want to kind of, if you're eating those, make sure you eat them with some greens, get some green things in there so you can start the process of crowding out. All right, the principle number 3, do the best you can with what you have available. Right? We all have times where we have to eat and there's not anything healthy available. I usually carry low sugar protein bars and nuts with me everywhere just in case I'm caught without, right? But you do the best with what you can with what you have available. Sometimes you just need to eat. And if buying organic, everything is not available to you right now. And by the way, not all organics are created equal. This is an area you might need to do a little research on and what's going on locally for you and your food supply. I don't have time to get into the specifics, but just know that there are some serious gray areas when it comes to organic labeling laws. So do your research about where your food is coming from and what company it's coming from, okay? And sometimes you can just let your eyes, your nose, your taste buds be the guide. If you have access to a local produce, even better, at a local farmer's market or joining a CSA, some of the best options for fresh local produce where it's not sitting on a truck or a plane to get to you, right? So we do the best with what we can with what we have available. Buying everything organic is not always the most cost-effective thing to do. So every year, the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, publishes two lists, the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Their list of conventionally grown fruits and vegetables with the highest and the lowest amounts of pesticides. Pesticide residue in them. So the Clean 15, those are fruits and vegetables that you can more safely purchase. And the Dirty Dozen are where you really want to make your dollars count towards your health and purchase those definitely as organic. Okay? And just a side tip, usually those fruits and vegetables that have a thicker skin, those that you peel like bananas, oranges, avocados, peas, corn, onions, these you can worry a lot less about toxins being in them than say things like berries, leafy greens, and tomatoes, which you should always buy organic if you can. Principle number 4 is to, when you are putting your meal plans together, your food for the day, think in terms of macronutrients, right? And I'm not talking about the whole counting anything here, breaking out the colorful little portion control food boxes and counting all the things is no, we're not talking about that. This is a very fluid method of just combining food, right? What are macronutrients? Anybody want to tell me? There's 3. The 3 macronutrients. Yep, fats, proteins, carbohydrates. So when you're about to put together a meal, your fuel for the day, think in terms of having all 3 in approximately equal amounts to balance out your nutrition and help keep you satiated longer. And remember, we're talking healthy fats, high quality lean proteins, and complex unprocessed carbohydrates. The 5th principle is always, always, always read your labels. Until you are familiar with a brand or a product, read. You will be shocked at how much nonsense is in your food, especially the sugar content, right? Which leads me into the most important thing you need to pay attention to when it comes to your nutrition, sugar. We're going to talk about sugar. So, recommendations for daily sugar intake for a woman, and this is from the American Heart Association, which is an entity that I don't really agree with most of the content that they publish. However, this I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with. So for daily sugar intake for a woman, the recommendation is to keep your sugar under 20 grams a day. 20 grams. That's not a lot. The next time you're at this grocery store, turn to the back of the yogurt cups. 14, 16, 19 grams of sugar in 1 cup, right? Even Chobani has like a less sugar option that's still 9 grams in that tiny little cup. Where else does sugar hide? Anybody want to take a guess? Sugar is not a treat. No, it is not. It's the cause of many evils in the body. It's the beginning of many, many bad things. Okay, so where else does sugar hide? Protein bars, right? You will have significant difficulty finding one that has less than 5 grams and, also taste good, right? It's pretty difficult. Go through the protein bar aisle. You will see. Juice. Yeah, juice or fruit. Yes, fruit juice. So when you look at the juice on the shelves, it's pasteurized. And when you hear the word pasteurized, you should be thinking heavily processed. So the sugar content is immediately metabolized, contrary to how a fresh piece of fruit is metabolized, or even a fresh juice, right? Way different. Kind of like the difference between the brown rice and the pasta, right? Bottled teas or kombucha. I love drinking kombucha, but it's got a ton of sugar in it for some reason. I don't know why in an herbal tea, I would need 15 grams of sugar, right? Why? And the same with salad dressings and condiments, ketchup, teriyaki sauce, ton of sugar. Breads and cereals, even gluten-free bread has a nonsensical amount of sugar. And do you want to know why? You want to know why? Sugar is the #1 ingredient that big food uses to cause you to become addicted, because they know foods that spike the blood sugar are biologically addictive, right? So in an environment of mega doses of sugar and refined carbs, when you eat those foods, your whole body starts shifting into fat deposition. It becomes like a fat storage factory. And calorie restriction, it makes it even worse. That activates starvation mode, which then slows your metabolism, makes you extremely hungry, and your muscles start to work not as well. You don't want to move as much, you get cranky. And so it's a vicious cycle that begins, right? So you can see why when you're dieting, moderation and willpower are a fiction in the face of food addiction. Sugar that's attached to a fruit or a vegetable is metabolized very differently than a processed sugar or processed carb, even when they're at the same caloric value. And everybody's under this belief that overeating makes you fat. That's simply just not so. The changes in our metabolic rate, fat storage, and hunger hormones depend on the composition of our diet, not on the amount of calories. Okay. So you see, I continue to encourage you to stop with the counting of the calories and be way more concerned with the nutrient density of your food and with your metabolic health. Yeah, you can white knuckle weight loss for a while by voluntarily restricting your calories, but it's not a long-term solution. And cutting out an entire macronutrient like carbohydrates, similar to what the food industry did back in the 80s with fat, right? With the whole fat, with the low fat, no fat diet trend. Now it's become that all carbs are evil. Your brain is like 85% carbohydrate. It's one of the big 3 macronutrients, carbohydrates. Your body and mind need carbs to function at their best. So how do you think you'll be feeling long-term by cutting out all those carbs? Instead of thinking of your food as your enemy, start thinking of it as fuel. And instead of thinking of it as something that needs to be restricted, that you need to deprive yourself of, you think of it as fuel. Something like a green smoothie or a green salad would be high octane fuel, right? Or something like avocado, olive oil, quinoa, sweet potatoes. Do you want to function like a Bugatti or a golf cart? A really helpful question is to ask yourself before you eat something, how is this going to make me feel later? And often, not always, right? Not always, but often that's enough to help you put back the cupcake or skip on the free tortilla chips, okay? You have to let your body's intelligence work for you. You know, your body knows what to do when we give it the right tools to work with. So please start doing your homework on the difference between simple carbs and complex carbs and how they're metabolized. You need the complex carbs in your diet to function at optimal levels. When you start listening to your body's cues around your nutrition and view food as fuel, you will naturally start to shift into that healthier space without having to restrict or deprive. I'll put up a link for you. It's a really informative article written by Dr. Hyman about food addiction and the science behind it, and also the toxic triad, right? But I'm really calling on you to take personal responsibility for your health. Any diet program that recommends bacon as a health food or restricts nutrient-dense foods like bananas and berries and garlic and onions, sweet potatoes, that's nonsense. Or has you fasting for 16 hours while also exercising heavily and then eating whatever you want in a tiny little window, that's not going to support your body in its overall health. And many things you're eating might not necessarily add to your fat, but it will make you sick, like physically sick. So you can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. How many of you know someone who looks healthy on the outside, but on the inside, probably not so much. They look aged, right? These fad diets, they end up leading to weight cycling, or what I call dirty dieting. Dirty dieting centers on an unhealthy relationship with food, on restriction and deprivation, instead of listening to the feedback that you're receiving from your body when it says, please stop doing that, right? And for a lot of you, it's saying, I'm hungry, but you're saying, shut up, I need to lose weight, right? Because that's what you've been taught to do. Instead, teach yourself about nutrient values and the composition of what you're eating, how it's going to affect your blood sugar. As a coach, I'm dedicated to seeing the total sum of you through a holistic lens. So you're never going to hear me talk about a diet program, never hear me recommend specific changes to your diet until I've met with you first and gone through your individual health history. There are, of course, merits to certain diets for specific health challenges. For instance, one of my students, she struggles with an autoimmune disease. So I recommended that she try cutting out nightshades to see if that would help. And guess what? It did. But that's not something I would advise without knowing her personal health circumstances. So stop listening to all these experts that, don't know you personally, and they're just trying to sell you on their secret formula, right? We are all unique individuals when it comes to our internal microbiome. Age, gut condition, activity level, genetics, they all matter. Something that's completely healthy for one person may be causing an issue with someone else and is hurting them, is hurting their metabolic health, which is why subscribing to a diet without listening to your body, it often makes things worse, not better. And this is something we dive deeper into the science behind in my gut check workshop that's coming in a few months. But just know for now that you are a snowflake when it comes to your personal health. You are uniquely you. And there are deep physiological processes happening within the body that can go haywire if they're not cared for properly. And dirty dieting, that can make it go haywire, right? The key to your nutritional health and maintaining a healthy weight is paying attention to the nutrient density of your fuel and managing your blood sugar levels properly and with clean food. Your nutrition is the building materials for every step of the metabolic process. And you know this, but it bears repeating. You literally become what you eat. Your food is digested, absorbed, and then absorbed by your cells, and then becomes the building blocks for new cells. As you start to focus on developing sustainable, healthy lifestyle habits through these 8 pillars, you'll naturally start to make better choices. And as you integrate more and more of these habits into your lifestyle, your weight will neutralize naturally. There's no magic pill. There's no secret formula. When it comes to your nutrition, prioritize real food, whole food ingredients with little to no processing, high quality protein, and unprocessed complex carbs. Okay, for those of you in doTERRA land, the new release of this MetaPower system of metabolic health care, I'm so excited for this because I truly believe that this is going to be an epic game changer for a lot of people. When we think metabolism, we often think just about weight, right? But our metabolism cares for so much more. And I'll be teaching you guys more about this in the days to come. But for now, out of my commitment to you, because I only teach about things that I have personal experience with, personal transformational needle moving experience with, right? So the science behind this product is legit, you guys, but I only started on it yesterday. I'm on day 2. So I've been taking Slim and Sassy for forever, forever. And that in and of itself was a game changer for me. But this system is next level, and it totally aligns with what I've already been teaching you guys all along about metabolic flexibility. That is at the core of true health. When your cells are healthy, you will be healthy. With metabolic flexibility, you naturally have glowing skin, deeper sleep, consistent energy levels, improved cognition, improved digestion, weight release, strong immunity, and less sadness and anxiety. So we'll be discussing it a little more next week with pillar number 3 with sweat. And then after I've completed the 30 days, I'll be putting together a class for you, as well as creating a full 30-day guided program focused around the system. I'm so stoked because this system, it aligns perfectly with everything I teach. What healthy really means when it comes to nutrition and exercise, about managing your blood sugar and throwing out that notion that you got to count calories, cut carbs, and do the crazy cardio, but that's the only way, right? All right, that was a whole heap for today. Another adjunct to your nutrition is smart supplementation and supporting digestion. So I'll be popping on a live later on this week to go through some tips for better digestion and the nutritional supplements you'll definitely want to include in your nutrition plan to fill in the gaps. So it'll be nutrition pillar number 2, part 2. And last but not least, for those of you still on with me, we have this week's Q&A giveaway. It is going to be a paid version of the Paprika app. Yes, to help you better meal plan and prep. So if you want to win this gift of health, go to my website. It is whole-som.com/events to win. There'll be a form there that you can fill out to enter to win. All right. Until then, happy home cooking, y'all. See ya.